Good afternoon. Better late than never. Yeah, bit late, but I have an excuse. Because my darling daughter was just coming in from, what was she coming in from? An interview. So I wanted to know how it went. Anyway, Cai Graham here. Good to see you. Teen Toolbox. Start again. Cai Graham here. Let me just start this as I mean to go on and put it on Do Not Disturb. Let's start again. Cai Graham here. Good to see you. Teen Toolbox, and I'm going to sort of set this up as talking point. Oh, Lisa, you're joining us. Thank you. This is going to be a regular occurrence now, but I hasten to add it's going to be driven by you. Okay? What questions you've got, I will answer. And what I'm finding, today's topic is self-harm. And do you know what? In all seriousness, this is a big one for many, many parents. And let's face it, A, because it's alien to us, and B, to most of us, should I say, and B, okay, I'm from the dark ages. I'm from when there were woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers, but there wasn't really, I'd never heard of self-harm, in fairness, you know, simple as that. So for many adults, this is, I don't even know where to start because I have no experience from this. Okay, and I have got many parents who, to all intents and purposes, are reacting in a very, very natural way, but it's through a viewpoint of fear. So I want to put an end to that. So what is self-harm? Well, I'll tell you what. Based on my background, I've had a lot of training in this area when I sort of work with Childline, so I thought I'd start off with a Childline definition. What is self-harm? It is basically hurting yourself or damaging yourself on purpose. That's as simple as it comes. It's straightforward, obviously geared towards kids so that they understand it, but it is hurting yourself or damaging yourself on purpose. And you know, for many parents, it's a real shock when they hear that their child has been self-harming. It is a real immediately the ego comes into play, and it's the anxieties of, oh no, what have I done wrong? You know, how do I make them stop? It's confusion, it's helplessness, and it's scary. Yeah, it's scary. So, and numbers are on the rise year on year, which is also quite hard to deal with. So, why? Because it's something that, you know, many adults can't quite relate to. The question is, why do people do it? Why do our kids feel the need to self-harm? You're going to see a lot of this, so get used to it, I'm afraid. A lot of the kids say to me, the ones I've dealt with on a one-to-one basis, face-to-face, the ones I've dealt with through Childline, have basically said it's a way of bringing out, because emotional feelings are really, really hard. Emotions and you know, those thoughts are really hard to deal with, are really hard to control. But what the young people find is that they can control the physical. So the emotional pain is really, they can't get a handle on it. They can't work out how to deal with it, but they know how to deal with the physical pain. And so that is where self-harm comes in, because it's that degree of control. It is that degree of just trying to get, dare I say it, some semblance of order in a very, very chaotic and troubled mind. I think that's really what it is. Many kids say it's a way of releasing tension. It's just a release. In fairness, there's a hell of a lot of kids that just go, I have no idea. I don't know why I'm doing this. A red mist comes down, a black mist comes down, I can't see clearly, but somehow, for whatever reason, cutting myself, and we'll go into the different forms of self-harm, but just doing something, just cuts, excuse the pun, cuts through that turmoil and that anguish. And many see it as a coping strategy against stress, anxieties, panic, just overwhelm. And it is a form of putting the reins on the emotions, getting control of the emotions. I mean, one guy said, I can't deal with the emotional pain, but I can deal with the physical. Another child said to me, it's punishing myself because my mum and dad are divorced. Sometimes we can't make rhyme nor reason of it, and so it is important to, and we will get on to how to support your child, but it's important to get to see if you can help them work out what the triggers are and see if you can support them in this chaos that's going around. I have touched on a number of times that teenagers emotionally, their brain is still developing. They, and so emotionally they don't have, and this isn't sort of dissing them in any way, they just don't have the emotional intelligence to understand what's going on. And so invariably a lot of kids just go, I'm angry, I'm cross, I'm angry. And it could be many, many different reasons that they haven't learnt how to label them properly yet. So it could be jealousy, it could be envy, it could be loneliness, it could be abandonment, it could be many, many things. But it's that gut-wrenching frustration and needing to explode, and the only label they can think of at the minute is anger. I'm angry. And so that's then, once they think, right, I'm angry, it's that need to lash out. But if you think about it, and a sort of example of not quite knowing about your body or your emotions or whatever, that a lot of kids, when they have that sort of that frustration or feeling of sort of that pain in their stomach, sometimes they, and they just sort of say, well, it's just I can't eat, I'm not hungry, or other people say I am hungry, because it's that pit in their stomach, and they feel that they relate that feeling in their stomach to either hunger or not hunger, but the sort of appetite thought, but actually it's nothing to do with something physical. It is to do with their emotions. It's to do with jealousy, or it's to do, but they haven't connected the dots yet. Life experience has not given them the intelligence to work out what exactly is going on in their head, in their lives, in their body, and so they just know that they're feeling rubbish. They know that there's chaos. They know, and invariably they say that they're angry, but it might not necessarily be anger. Sharon, thank you also for joining us. I'm just explaining sort of why young people tend to self-harm. It is anxiety, and as I said, some of them just don't even know, because that black mist comes down, because that red mist comes down, because everything just beats their senses and into sort of smithereens, and it's just stop. How do I get stop all this? And invariably self-harm just puts the brakes on for that tiny minute, and it just stops everything and helps the young person just focus. And they're focusing on the pain. They're in NLP we call it a pattern interrupt. They're focusing on that tidal wave of emotion, because they haven't quite got the emotional intelligence to say, right, let's sit down, have a bit of a navel gaze and work out what the heck's going on. a lot of the, there are so many reports going around, so many, and because self-harm, the numbers are rocketing. No sooner has one report been written that the next one's, it's out of date. But the majority of kids, when questioned why, what is it that causes self-harm, the top three are low self-esteem, which covers myriad of stuff, bullying, and depression. And what I would do is just put a big red flag there as far as depression is concerned. Because in Childline, what we learned very, very quickly was to ask the child, I'm depressed. Okay, right. Okay, tell me, have you been diagnosed with depression? No, but I just know I'm depressed, And the thing is what kids don't realise that actually they're probably just having a shitty day, or they could just be having a really bad week, or even bad luck, but a bad month. The levels of depression with young kids goes up at exam month because they're having a horrid time, so they're depressed. But until you know what depression is, it's not always the case. So watch out when your child says that they're depressed. Have they actually been diagnosed? And is it just feeling crappy, or is it depression? And invariably, your gut will know pretty soon. Actually, I've got to have a slurp of this. So whilst kids say, one of the top three reasons or triggers for self-harm is depression. Let's just put it down to feeling crap, having anxiety, panic attacks, whatever. But depression itself, I think it's a label that kids have jumped onto, and it's not always, self-diagnosis is not always the best. So the question is, which is one that I hear many parents using, is, I think they're just looking for attention. Right, okay, fine. I think 39% on another survey, and I'm sure, I've got this, the source somewhere, but 39% of parents who were questioned believed that this was the case, that their child, self-harm is because that young person is looking for attention. Whereas 80% of the kids that were questioned who did self-harm went categorically not. And actually, I'm with them. When you're going through shit, when you're going through that tidal wave of emotion, are you honestly trying to tell me that the children are trying to draw attention to how rubbish they're feeling? Now, it might be a cry for help. That's something in my book that's slightly different. But looking for attention, that, to me, that's a sort of, that implies, they're just being a bit of a diva. If it's a cry for help, that's a totally different story, and we will deal with that. But it's not really high on their list of things. What they are doing is, please, honestly, all I want to do is stop how I'm feeling. So in my book, if you feel that your child is going through, and if you've got sort of signs that your child is self-harming, just give them a bit of space and maybe don't jump to that conclusion too quickly. Another thing on the plus side is a lot of parents sort of do they must be suicidal. And do you know what? Reports are also saying not usually. So one hopes that puts your mind at rest. Now, I'm not saying that everyone is not, but that's a bit like saying, well, everyone that phones Childline is going to sort of be suicidal. Not at all. It's like sort of saying that, everyone that reaches out has suicidal thoughts. Not at all. Because, a couple of times, when asking kids on the other end, are you feeling suicidal? Have you got suicidal thoughts? Do you have a plan? They went, oh God, no. Oh no. And so, and it's the very fact of mentioning suicide, and this is sort of one thing I have learned. By mentioning suicide, it doesn't put that idea into their head. Okay, so don't worry about, oh my God, if I mention suicide, that's not going to be next on the list. It's not. If you mention suicide and they go, yeah, I have thought about it, hurrah, it's now out in the open. And if you mention suicide and they go, no, I haven't thought about it, hurrah, because they haven't. And they're not suddenly going to go, oh my gosh, good point, that's another coping strategy. It's, you know, the dots don't join up there. So invariably, just if you want to mention it and just ask, you know, is this going on in your head? And they'll let you know one way or another. And both answers are right, because at least you've got the lines of communication going then. So, okay, let's just go back to the basics. What are different types of self-harm? Well, most of us know the one which is cutting. And it could be cutting anywhere. It could be the wrists, the inside of the thighs. I mean, absolutely anywhere. And some people just do the superficial sort of cuts, and other people draw blood. And you know, it is what it is. That's you know, that's one type of self-harm. Others are scratching, some are bruising, punching walls, pulling hair, burning themselves, injury of whatever sort, and also other things like eating disorders, like risk-taking, I mean scary risk-taking, alcohol, too much alcohol abuse, cigarettes, drugs, addiction. I mean, lots of people put that under the umbrella of self-harm. So there's a lot going on there, and not being funny, looking at that, these sort of things didn't happen when I was young, or I tell you what, if they did, it was the minority, and we never talked about it, so thank God we are talking about it now. So as a parent, what the flip do you do? Well, I'll tell you, I was going to read that first, but I tell you, I'm going to start looking at, I think, yeah, the first thing as a parent, yeah, first thing. And invariably, you may or you may, you know, you might not find out firsthand. And that's always one that is quite hard to swallow. You might hear from your child's friend's mother. That is quite common. Or you might just sort of, you know, that's or sometimes at school. So you might not hear firsthand. My first piece of advice, whatever you do, is practice box breathing fast. Do not overreact, and keep your own feelings way out of the equation. It's really quite important, because by its very nature, self-harm seems to be a secretive, I was going to say condition, whatever, I don't like calling it that, but it's the point of self-harm is sort of fairly secretive, because the young people want to keep it from you for a number of reasons. One, they don't want you overreacting. Two, they don't want to create more pain in your life. Three, they don't blimmin' well want the burden of your anxieties when they've got their own shit going on. 4, they don't want to be blamed. 5, they don't want to feel guilty. 6, they don't want you to not love them. Think of all the pressures there that your child feels that they are under. So as soon as you hear your child has been self-harming, or as soon as you see, stop and count to 5. And think, how would I want my nearest and dearest to react? And just stop. And none of the, why me? And but you're my baby, and it really upsets me when I see you in pain. Yeah, all right, whatever, yeah. I know, that's the natural reaction, but do you know what? It's not about you. It really isn't about you. That's quite hard, isn't it? Who's the grown-up here? So how do you support your child? One, you do not overreact. I know it's scary. I know it's alien. I know it's something that you don't quite understand. Well, hopefully after now you'll be a little bit more informed. But remove your feelings and remove your anxieties, because the children that I speak to, the young people that I speak to, when I say, does mum or dad know about this? They go, no, I wouldn't want to upset them. Did you hear that? Your child doesn't want to upset you, but they are so upset themselves, they are hurting themselves. So it's your job to keep your anxieties under wraps. It's your job to look after them and to support them. And the big one is, do not judge. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't judge. And just keep your emotions in check. Yes, do whatever you need to do that helps you, that works for you, after you have discussed this with your child. But if you do the weeping and wailing of gnashing the teeth, it will scare them, it will worry them, and it will drive them underground again. And you see, I shouldn't have told Mum, because I knew she'd react like this, and she's just making it worse. So, yeah. The child does not want to have the responsibility and the burden of your upset as well. They have got their own stuff going on. They are hurting themselves to try and make themselves feel better. So why on earth would they want to have the responsibility of making your life better as well? Well, I tell you what, they invariably do by not telling you. So if you hear about it, that's a massive breakthrough. And that's one of the first steps to recovery. Do not, please, insist on an ultimatum. You must stop. You must stop. You just stop. Just stop. It's silly. You're hurting yourself. Come on. You know that just is silly. That's just dangerous. You can't do that anymore. Stop. I command it. Oh right. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Dad. Yeah. Oh right. Hadn't thought of that. Hadn't tried that one. Oh yes. I'll just stop. They want to. Believe me, they want to. And the shame and the disgust, and then they punish themselves again, and the concern and the worry and the anxiety and the panic and So ultimatums don't work. Okay, well, Kai, you've said 100 don'ts. You said don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. What do I do? Do you know the first thing I do, if they let you, is give them a hug. Just go, oh my God, I'm here for you. I am so here for you. And then ask them, what do you want? What do you want from me? How can I support you? And some kids want practical advice. Some people want emotional support. Some people want, I'm just so glad you know, just leave me alone and I don't want to talk about it for at least an hour, and let your child guide you. Do you ever sort of, I don't know, come in from whatever, I don't know, bad day or work or whatever, and all you need to do is please just give me space. Please just let me get it sorted in my head. Because once your child knows that you know, oh my God, the floodgates open already. There's the relief, there's the shame, there's the guilt, there's the, oh, thank God. It's so there's so much going on in their head. So the thing is as soon as you find out, say, listen, hug, whatever works for you. I'm here for you. Do you want to talk about it now? Are you ready? And sometimes I might go, I need a hot chocolate. Or sometimes I might go, yes, but when Mum's not here, or when when I've got to finish my homework, or because real life is going on around. So be guided by them. you might just want to sit and watch Friends or listen, you know, they just might want you next to them, knowing that you haven't collapsed in a heap and gone, oh my God, I've suddenly stopped loving you because you're self-harming. Because that's a big one in their book. The thing is what we have to remember, and kids sort of sometimes don't quite get it, is a person is not their behaviour. So they might be doing something that is alien to you. It might even disgust you. It'll scare the shit out of you. But you still love them dearly, surely. But they don't know that. So even just reassure them. Big hug. Do you want to talk? I love you. I'm here for you. And now I'm going to back off. And that might be all that you need to start. Because the thing is, as soon as you go, oh right, now I need to know why, now I need to know what to do, now I need to know who else knows, now I need, because then if it's the Spanish Inquisition, they're just going to curl up and just not be interested. So just no judgment and don't overreact. Take it at their pace, because this is a journey. As soon as they tell you, it is not going to stop overnight. It is not going, oh, Dad knows, Mum knows, oh great, Granny knows, oh right, it's all better now. The cause of all this is probably still there, it's still going on. So it's a matter that what has happened is that they've shared, or you know, this is out in the open a bit, and the lid has been lifted, but things probably haven't changed immediately in what's triggering all this. So sometimes you just have to sit and ask them, as I said, ask them what they want. What do you need? What can I do for you? Okay? Because that's important. And rather than, oh, I knew I was a crap mum, or I knew it, I knew there was something going on. Yeah, now I know. No. Come on. As I said, it's not about you. The one thing that we do at Childline, and sometimes it takes, you know, some kids do the, oh right, no, I've been on the phone a few times and talking about self-harm and, you know, let's just talk about it again. And other people, it's their very first time of telling anyone what one of the very, very first thing, apart from thank you for phoning, well done, you've done really well, the first thing we say is find out what method of self-harm they use. Invariably it's cutting, but not always. The big question is, and this is for those people that are cutting, are you keeping your wounds clean? And the amount of kids that sort of said to me, oh my God, I thought you were going to tell me to stop. I thought you were going to tell me it was dangerous. I thought you were going to, I thought. And I went, It's not my job to do that. My job is your safety. My job is your well-being and your immediate well-being, as far as, you know, as it was our intention as sort of counsellors, was that, are you doing this safely? Because, you know, so one child I remember was sort of saying, well, I don't know what you mean. I said, listen, if you're talking about an open wound here, if that gets infected, you get into all sorts of trouble. And so I said, are you able to tell me how you cut? And oh, well, yeah. I used that compass point, you know, from my pencil case. Right, I said, okay. But just think, if you know what I mean, you know that the sharp bit of a compass that's been sitting in a pencil case with lead pen, or, you know, the pencils and the bits of eraser and Tipp-Ex and pencil sharpenings and you name it. Yeah, a hive of germs. So the point was, right, well, I suggest you start, if you're going to continue this, and are you going to continue? Well, yeah, I am actually. Right, okay, you need to do this safely, and you need to do this so your wounds do not get infected. So, A, use clean blades. You telling me how to self-harm? No, I am telling you how to protect yourself from infection. Right, and so even the thing is listen, do you need me to sort of give you Dettol wipes. Oh yeah, that might help. Yeah, okay. And this is all short term, you know, because it is the start of the journey. But making sure your child does not get infected wounds is really important. Okay, you know what happens with infections, and you know, let's not go there. But it's not nice if this is what happens. So it's make sure that any of the wounds, and especially, you know, if they're punching walls, are their fingers broken? You know, just you need to make sure that from a first aid point of view that your child is as physically protected and looked after in the best way that they can with self-harm in mind. So it's make sure, from cutting point of view, make sure they have antiseptic, make sure they have bandages if they need them, and steri-strips even. Just something that protects them from infection. And if they are punching things and you know, make sure that everything is looked after and kept clean. And if there are broken bones, address that, you know. But make sure the blades are clean, and make sure that they have dressings and they have stuff to look after themselves. Because that's just responsible, okay? But what happens, Kai, if I know that there's something wrong but I don't know if it's self-harm or not? Well, there are many triggers, but it's like with any emotional upheaval. Are their moods changing? I mean, the thing is that they are self-harming for a reason. They might not know what it is, but they are self-harming because they're emotionally stressed, they're emotionally going through crap. So you know, self-harm is the manifestation of that, but it's also look for the other things, the other signals. It could be loss in appetite, it could be interrupted sleep, it could be too much sleep, it could be social withdrawal, it could be withdrawal from the family. And I'm not saying every child that throws their school bag down on the floor and runs up to their room for 3 hours is in emotional turmoil. I am not saying that. You as a parent will know the changes in their behaviour, in their mood. Are they being bullied? I don't know, but it's something to sort of look out for. But it's what are the changes in their behaviour? Have their grades bombed? Have they given up extracurricular activities? Whatever it is, are they isolating themselves? Specifically with self-harm, is it a beautiful summer's day and they're walking around in sweats and a long sleeve t-shirt? Because a couple of mums have said, oh my God, it's only when someone actually pointed it out to me, why aren't they in shorts, that I suddenly realised, and there were cuts all the way up the thighs. You know, so it's the clothing is and so therefore that is not attention seeking. Do you know what I mean? So the point is just look for something that's misfitting, something that's just not quite right, that maybe you can't put your finger on it, but if you start looking out for other things, then the dots start joining and the pieces of the jigsaw start slotting into place. Yeah? And it's the secrecy. It's the secrecy, because, as we said, self-harmers aren't really invariably looking for attention. They are just looking for a let-out for the internal pain. So how do you support? Well, we've done the emotional support, we've done the sort of practical support. How do you steer them and guide them and look after them? Well, first things that they haven't done, go and have a look at the Childline website. That gives them a lot of support, and actually it gives them the opportunity to talk, because many kids, and that's why they phone Childline, that they need to talk, but they don't want to talk to their nearest and dearest. They don't want to upset them. We've been through all that, but it could be the nearest and dearest, could be you, sorry, that's causing some of the issues. It could be a breakup. It could be you're driving them absolutely batty and you just think you're caring. I'm not here to judge. I'm telling you, what may or may not be happening. But ask them, do you need to talk about this? And I don't mean with me. You know, ask them, because there are so many resources now to support them. There's Young Minds website, there's Childline, Google it and it's all over the place. But it could be someone like, you know, in schools and secondary schools, they invariably have a buddy system. They might want to speak to someone of their own age, or they might be content speaking to the school nurse. They might want to speak to a school counsellor. They might want to speak to the GP. They might want to speak to their priest, their youth worker, their favourite piano teacher, great Aunt Maud. Find someone, adult, that they trust and that they are comfortable talking with. I mean, invariably, my kids have always known from a very, very early age, okay, you know, if I'm really, really annoying you and if there's something that I can't help you with but you need to speak to someone, Uncle Will is your person to go to. Uncle Will was briefed, and in that I said to him, if Jack or Alice come to you, please help them. Well, he would do anyway, but my proviso was, and I don't need to know the details. Because, and that's sometimes a deal breaker for many parents, because it's, oh, no, I need to know what's going on in my child's head so I can support them better. No, sometimes you need to back off as a parent, and I learned that, and I hope, and I know that definitely Jack went to Will. I'm not sure if Alice did. If she did, lovely. I didn't know about it. It's not about you. Do you remember that? It's not your ego. It is not the you party. It is your child, and whatever form works best for them, whatever line of communication works for them. If it's not you, suck it up, because hurrah that they actually can pinpoint someone that is, in their mind, the right person to speak to help them with that issue. And I know that Jack did, and you know, and Will, and I just sort of said thank you to him. He went, yeah, fine. We've dealt with it. And to this day, I don't know what it was about, but I know it helped Jack, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what it's all about. So the first thing to do in order to offer advice and support and coping strategies for your child is saying, if you want to talk, can you think of someone you'd like to talk to? Me, if you want, I'm here to support you, but it might not be the right person. I might not be the right person. Mum or Dad might not be the right person. But who can you think? You know, who do you trust? Is it a counsellor? Is it a family friend? Is it a whatever? Because there will be someone, and it could be a total stranger. It could be a complete stranger. And that's what these phone lines are for, is the likes of Childline, non-judgmental, often just sit there and listen. The amount of times I sort of listened and said, have you thought about, and how would it be for you if, and da-da-da-da, and they came away and just went, oh my God, thank you so much. And I thought, crikey, I don't know if we got anything sorted. Then went, no, but you just listened. So that's the next thing. If your child is willing to go, no, actually, yeah, I would quite like to tell you about it. Did you hear that? I'd quite like to tell you about it. You don't have to sort anything. That's the whole point. You don't always have to sort stuff. It's our knee-jerk reaction to go, got a problem? I'll fix it. Don't worry. I'm your woman. I'm your man. I can do it. No, not necessary. The majority of the breakthrough happens when it's finally shared, and just listening can often be enough. Do you remember I say, as individuals, all our needs are is to be loved, to be understood, and to be respected. And listening is in the middle of all of those. Now there are other things. There are other sort of slightly more practical approaches. And these some kids going, you're having a laugh. You're telling me to do this when I've got all this going on. I mean, that's like putting a Band-Aid on it. And other kids go, oh my God, that really, really helped. So take this, you know, as it is. But there are many coping strategies, and are journaling. Now, some kids do a gratitude journal. Today I am grateful for X, Y and Z. If you follow me, you know I talk about gratitude for adults as well, but gratitude can be really good because it gets things into perspective. But another form of journaling is just putting it all out on paper. Some kids have really, really nice, neat journals, and a bit like diaries. I used to have a 5-year diary all the way through my teenage years. And, I'm sure if I look back on it now, some of my angst would, sort of be, really, is that what was worrying you at the time? And other times it might have been quite dark. I don't know, but I tell you what, journaling obviously worked for me because it was a routine that I got into quite a lot, and it sort of helped get it out of my system. And I think that's one of the ways, if it's a method that supports your child of getting stuff out of their system, emotionally out of their head, then if it works, hurrah. Other kids listen to music, put the headphones on and blast it up, and just, I don't know, it's just a way of, I think the thing is about self-harm is invariably when you have that hit or that trigger, having a distraction, as I said, a pattern interrupt, is a way of just distracting that urge. And I don't want to belittle this, but it's like, if you're on a diet and all you want to do is reach for a packet of hobnobs, it's that pattern interrupt to go, no, stop. Let's think of something different to take my mind off it. Because once your mind has been distracted, after about 30 seconds, it goes, oh, okay, right, well, that urge is less strong. So many of these coping strategies are distraction techniques. Exercise can be a great one. Exercise is great for the mental health, full stop. But, it can be, sort of physical exercise can just get rid of all that energy, that cortisol, that stress stuff. But also gentle exercise because, just going for a walk in nature or in the forest or on the beach or even around the block, it just gives you that sense of perspective of, everything's bigger than, there's more to me than just, more to my life than just me, if that makes sense. Family pet, God, whenever I'm feeling stressed, I grab my cat and sort of, sit there, and it makes me feel better. That could be, tell him to take the dog for a walk, or just sit there with the dog, I don't know, on the sofa or with the cat or whatever. Animals are fab for that. But as I was talking to about the pattern interrupt, sometimes self-harm can be a bit of an addiction. Many kids I've said, yeah, well, I'm addicted to the pain now. And so it's that sort of, it's the quick fix. Do you know what I mean? So one child might reach for a packet of cigarettes, another child reaches for a blade. It is what it is. Let's not judge. But it's a way of trying to break that habit. It's a way of, sort of maybe, especially if they're going for example, prolonged bullying, and, it happens every time they're on the bus or whatever. As soon as they come in, self-harm just sort of stops all that horridness, for even if it's only for a split second. Self-harm, just out of interest, because this is one to try and not blame yourself. As I've sort of said, self-harm is a sign of distress. It's a sign of emotional distress. 67% of parents who were asked said, no, but, they really do need to speak to their parents here, because the parents are the ones that can help. 67% of parents, when questioned, believed that the best course of action was for the child to speak to their parents. Sounds good, doesn't it? 16% of children said they would consider this. 16%. 1/6. That is not very many. So the trick is when I say, if you find out about it or you hear about it, chances are, to begin with, your child's not going to want to talk. So I would then suggest is say, listen, I know what's going on, and I know you probably don't want to talk to me, but can I just suggest that I know and I'm here, but if you don't want to talk to me, I respect that. Not, I'm your mum, I'm the one that's meant to help you. Why won't you let me help you? This so upsets me. Can you hear that? God, really? So it's measured and level-headed is, I know you probably don't want to speak to me. Statistics prove it, which then actually shows that you've been doing your homework. And it shows that you're trying to not get control, but trying to support. So if you don't want to speak to me, go and speak to the Uncle Wills of this life. Go and speak to whoever, who works. Can you think of? Well, let me sit there and help you from practical level. Let's sit there and talk about who you can speak to. Oh, this is very unlike mum, but it's working. Or dad never really approaches it like this, or, So that's just worth bearing in mind. Now, what I do want to say is the majority of kids want this to stop. And, if you read the support boards on Childline and, all that sort of stuff, the kids are going, I've been a week clean. I've been 2 weeks clean. I've been 3 hours clean. And for them, it is, it's something that, because the end of self-harm invariably illustrates the end of the emotional turmoil, because they are getting control again. They are getting to grips with what's going on. So that's great. But remember, I said it was an addiction, and it can be. Maybe not an addiction for some, it can be for others. It can also be a habit. It is also a coping strategy that, to all intents and purposes, works for them. So it's a matter of finding a different coping strategy, but it's also worth remembering that many people who go on a diet do not lose 3 stone first time around. Many people that try and give up the drink do not succeed first time around. Many people that are trying to cut the smokes out do not succeed first time around. So when the child has a relapse, it is just a bump in the road. It does not mean that, oh my God, it's the end of everything and I'm rubbish and I told you I'm hopeless. It is just that. It is a relapse. It is a bump in the road, and that's all right, because that's normal and that is to be expected. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It actually means you're trying, and that should be celebrated. And the point is that it is a temporary blip. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world and it's just going to be rubbish from now on in. It means, okay, I wonder why. Can you think of the reason why you need, why you sort of fell off the wagon, or why what was the trigger? Oh, okay, well, let's join the dots and let's think of why that happened when you'd been doing so well, and you're not a failure, but it's just, come on. So-and-so was trying to give up smokes and they're not succeeding at the minute. And remember, use that word yet. You haven't stopped yet. And it's one day at a time. It could be 1 hour at a time. It could be whatever. This is a journey. This is not an immediate reaction. And it's helping them, supporting them through that journey, because it is all about emotion. And it is a physical manifestation of what's going up here. And it's your job to support them. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, just to recap. As a parent, how do you support your child? 1, avoid judgment. Actually, let's start off with 1, avoid judgment. It doesn't make your child a bad person. It doesn't make you love them any less. It makes you go into overprotective mode. And sometimes that might scare the bejesus out of them. So it's sometimes, dare I say it, it's business as usual, because what what many kids say is, you know, I don't want every single now they know I don't want every single conversation to be about self-harm, for God's sake, because there is other stuff. There are geography exams. There are the fact that the dog needs defleed. You know, Granny, I don't know, lost her teeth. Whatever it is, there's other stuff going on. It's not all about this. It might feel like it at the minute, but don't forget your child's been living with this for a while. So 1, avoid judgment. 2, keep your ego out of it. Do not overreact. Level-headed. And that doesn't make you sound calm, cold and sort of cool, calm and collected. And oh, if I don't do this, they'll think I don't love them. Well, tell them that you do. It's as simple as that. Hug. Actions speak louder than words. 3, be honest. Total honesty. Like, I don't even understand this. I don't even know where to start. How can I help you? Tell me. Tell me in your own words what's going on so I can understand it. Not judge, not solve, not make it all better. Understand. We want to be loved, understood, and respected. Tell me what's going on. And invariably, some children might go, I don't understand it either. But that's all right. We can not understand it together. And maybe you need to do a bit of research, and maybe you need to sit there and go through the internet together, and maybe, you know, you'll know what works best for you. Just acknowledge that this is not, it's not going to be solved immediately. It is a journey. It is a recovery process. And once you know that, and don't breathe that down their necks, you know, show me your wrists, let me see. That doesn't help either. But it's just understand that this is a recovery process, and it's not going to be solved by the end of the evening. It doesn't work like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Listen. Listen. Simple as. Listen. You don't have to solve. You don't have to give an opinion. You just sit and hold their hand if you like. If they like. Just listen. And give them the space. And remember that all the kids that I spoke to, the biggest thing that they wanted was to be heard. So just listen. And when you stop listening, ask them what they need, what they want. They might not know, but at least they've been consulted. And also, as I've said here, which I alluded to earlier, it's not just self-harm. Life does go on. There is more to your child than there's more to your child than self-harm. So, you know, they might have hockey practice later. Oh no, but you've just dropped this bombshell and we need to talk. Actually, no, we don't. Not right now. As we know, they might not want to talk to you. They might just want to go and bash a hockey ball around the pitch and then, oh my God, thank God, I wonder if Mum's going to be there to collect me, or do you think that she's disowned me because she thinks I'm awful? There's a lot going on in their heads. And the last thing that they want is more space being taken up about how do I support Mum in my self-harm journey? Or how do I sort of, you know, look after Dad? Because it really upset him, I could tell. That's not their job. Really isn't their job. So it's as simple as it's never as simple as, is it? But I think it's just a matter of you just steadying the ship and being the best supportive person that you can be. How long have I been going on? Yeah, so that's it. I think I probably will do a handout on this at some stage, but there's so many other plates I'm juggling. But this talking point is here to stay now, so you can refer to it, and please ask. I mean, I don't know if you guys got any questions. Maybe I should open it up. If you've got any questions, there are so many resources available to, and if you have no idea where to turn, go and speak to your GP. They'll help you. There's loads of support out there, and we're here to support. I mean, I don't know, maybe there are parents out there who are going, oh my God, let me just tell you my story. That's it. We're here to listen. We're here to support. We're here to just to do whatever, this group is to do whatever you need it to do. But I just wanted to open up the topic. I wanted to say, I know that there are parents in here who've got children that self-harm. So I wanted to just shine a light on that. And whatever you do with this information, you can run with it. There might be parents here that go, yes, that's me. And there might be someone else goes, oh my God, that's me, but I'll private message her because I don't want to, tell anyone else. That's cool. Because at the end of the day, the people that we are trying to support are you and your children. So I've got no ego if you want to just telephone someone or private message them, or I don't know, if you've got a child that self-harms, maybe you just want to, I don't know, just write yes in the comments. And then at least that's a way of, I know, because we know that it's, we've talked about blame, we've talked about, sort of the shame and the secrecy. It's like mental health. I nearly used the F word. Bollocks to that. I want people to feel safe, and I want people to feel loved and nurtured. And if it's you in this group, or if it's your children, let's just lift the lid, because if the end result is someone getting benefit out of this group or out of this talk or whatever, hurrah. That's what it's all about. Lynn's saying, bloody hell, I'm in tears imagining the poor kids and the families in this situation. Yeah, it's shitty. But self-harm is just one of the topics that parents are struggling with. Bereavement is another. Abuse is another. Emotional upheaval is another. I just needed to talk about self-harm today. Something guided me to say that this was a topic that needed to be unearthed, or whatever you want to call it. So unless I'll wait a couple of minutes, because Facebook has this delay, especially in groups. So if there are any questions, that's cool. And if you want to PM me, or if you want to PM one another, or if you want to, just suddenly think, crap, actually, I need to go and investigate, or I need to go and sort of be gentle and look after my child and give him a hug, or I'm through the other side. Maybe you're through the other side and you've got pearls of wisdom that you could share with us. God, if you've got that, give us a shout. Please just put it in the comments. Hurrah, because we're all at different stages. Some of us have got 22 and 24-year-olds. Some of us have got 5-year-olds. Some of us got everything in between. And if we as parents can support one another and just go, yeah, parenthood is bloody brilliant. And it is. Best job I've ever done. Love it to bits. But I tell you what, it's a bit of a rocky road sometimes, and it can be quite tricky. So, yeah. Anyway, no comments coming, no questions coming. PM me if you need. Do whatever you need to do. Do what works for you best. That's what it's all about. We're all adults here. Much, much love. And I shall speak to you on my business page. I come out with a Facebook Live every day, so I'll be doing that tomorrow. But much love. If you've got someone who you know has got a child that is self-harming and they're not in the group, go and give them a personal message and tell them to come and join. It is a closed group, so it's not public, so not everyone is can just walk in as they see fit. They have to be approved by me. And, in fairness, I don't know you from Adam, but I sort of hope to have a fair gut feeling about trolls. And this is a respectful place, so be kind to one another. But if you've got something that you feel, oh my gosh, yeah, I think someone might benefit if I shared that, please do. Please do. Much love, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.